Now, from a personal point of view, if you, from your own history, you didn't begin your academic career in this direction.
No, that's right.
How did it begin?
How far back do you want to go?
How about university? How about
University.
college?
Yeah. Well, my undergraduate is electrical engineering. What was yours?
Also electrical.
Electrical engineering. See, we have many things in common. And I graduated from Villanova many years ago, in 1959. And it's a long story. But anyway, I actually ended up in a monastery for 9 years. The monastery of the Order of St. Augustine, that actually ran Villanova and several other colleges and many high schools. And during that time that I was in the monastery, I actually competed for a NASA fellowship.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I actually won a fellowship from NASA.
From the monastery.
Yeah, when I was in the monastery. So I took advantage of that fellowship, and I was going to go into mathematics. And so I went to a priest at Villanova who was the chairman of electrical engineering and said, you know, AJ, I'm thinking of going on in mathematics. And this was a teaching order. He said, Bob, mathematicians are a dime a dozen. You have to be careful where you say that. He said, you should go on in physics. And I said, well, I don't know. I'll take some math and I'll take some physics. And I just fell in love with physics. And I always say, do you remember that commercial when we were younger that the woman says, if I only have one life to live, I want to live it as a blonde? Remember that? Well, I always say, if I only have one life to live, I want to live it as a physicist. Or a blonde physicist. And I said this to Marco Tapiavera just a year or two ago in my late 60s, and we were together in Scandinavia. And he looked at me and he said, Bob, in a few years you will be a blonde physicist. But anyway, so then I went on and got a degree in physics, in nuclear physics, theoretical nuclear physics. And just at that time, the field was hit with a recession. This was the time when they had many magazine articles with people with hundreds of reject letters. Oh, you don't want to hear all this. But anyway, I wrote some crazy letters to places because everyone had hundreds of rejection letters. And I wrote a letter to many laboratories saying that I wanted to donate my slightly warm, just over 30 body to medical science. And could they find a place for me? And I got personal letters back from everyone. And everyone else had just been receiving form letters. It's a long story, but I ended up at the BRH, the Bureau of Radiological Health, at the perfect time, just before the digital imaging revolution hit, just before CT hit. And then the field just took off, and they said they were thinking maybe they could, maybe they could put me into the microwave field, they were saying. But anyway, I got into the medical imaging field there to address this question of dose versus image quality. And it turned out very few people were working on image quality at the time. And we started a group that was one of the earliest groups to work in image quality, and SPIE. That's a really big part of SPIE is image quality, and the rest is history. I forget where you were going with that question.
Well,
that's
one of the things I was interested in is how do you think, in all seriousness, your time in the monastery affected your later years as far as the science is concerned? I mean, what is it? I mean, obviously it's part of you, but how do you think it has made a difference in your approach to the field?
Gee, that's really a tough question. Well, one thing is that I had opportunities to do teaching, and I love teaching. And I've had many opportunities to do tutorials here. And sometimes they work, sometimes you have a good day, sometimes it's not bad. And so I guess I fell in love with teaching that way. I probably fell in love with silence in the monastery, but and I'm a shy person, as I say, but people don't really believe that. I guess that's it. I mean, I used to have a philosophical bent, but having studied a lot of philosophy, I no longer have a philosophical bent. And I remember when I was hired by our center that I said, you know, these are really practical people. And I better not do too much mathematics or too much theoretical stuff here because that'll be fine underneath, but these are practical people who are interested in practical results. So I called on the engineering background too. So somehow it came together. And you know, very few people can say this, but gee, this is getting too personal here. But very few people can look back over the career and say, you know, I would have done this or I would have done that. But professionally, I don't think I would have changed anything. And to be right where we are right now, and to have this course, and to have met people like yourself, and Ken Hansen, and all the people we talked about earlier, to have rubbed shoulders with all these people, and to make little contributions, it's been a terrific opportunity. I wouldn't trade it for anything.